dietary advice that we've all heard. Here it's the U.S. dietary guidelines, it's the food pyramid. But I think the fatal flaw within that food pyramid is this concept that we should be eating low-fat diets. I think we can clearly now go back and say the science that led to that recommendation was flawed, maybe fraudulent, and
Agreed.
the outcomes of following that diet are disastrous. They're all around us. They're the skyrocketing rates of obesity and diabetes that we see. There are the 88% of adults in the United States that are not metabolically healthy. And it's the fact that heart disease, the very condition that was designed to impact, remains far and away the number one killer. And really, there's very little to no evidence that low-fat diets have had any benefit on the incidence of heart disease. And I would say that it's made it worse because they do promote obesity and diabetes, which are major risk factors for heart disease.
And I know that many people watching as well, they come across a turning point. There's going to be something that happens in their life where they make that change. What was it for you that made you change the course of what you were actually doing?
Yeah, so, and I think that really comes down to a mindset issue. You have to know why you want your health to improve. For me, the primary driver was I had young children who, I wanted to be around for. And like I said, I knew where I was headed. I've seen it in my patients. I have the family history of heart disease, and I knew where I was headed, and I knew if I wanted to be here for my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, I was going to need to change my course, and that is what led me down the pathway that I then traveled down.
Absolutely. And I think for many people, it's about the children, it's about the family, it's about wanting to live a strong and healthy life. And I'd love to know, for those watching, what is your why? Why do you want to get healthy, lose weight? What is your big why to help you stay on track? Because I think that if we know that, it helps us with all the challenges. Because we're going to talk about carnivore, because I know that you're carnivore. That's a challenge to stay on for a lot of people. So understanding the why is so important. And I'm curious to know, now that you know everything that you know from all the experts, from all the history that you have and your own experience, what do you think now is the cause of heart disease?
Yeah, and you're exactly right about needing that why. And that's why in my book, I talk about the principles, the 7 principles of metabolic health. And the first principle is really that mindset issue. Because knowing all the facts, reading all the studies, all of that is great. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be enough to sustain you if you don't know why you're making these changes. So, very important point to re-emphasize. And ultimately, my why had 2 components to it. It had my family and my children and my wife that I want to be there for, but it also had being there for my patients and being a better doctor. And that meant truly understanding and getting to the root cause of heart disease. The disease, like I said, that I spend every day fighting against with my patients. And, again, this is an area where we have had many, I would say, misunderstandings, and physicians have been misled to believe that cholesterol and dietary cholesterol and dietary saturated fat are the primary drivers of heart disease. We now know that not to be true. That hypothesis has been, I would say, thoroughly disproven on many levels. And when we really want to look at the root cause of heart disease, it comes down to damage to the blood vessel walls from inflammation and primarily from insulin resistance. There are some other things that contribute, like smoking, that can cause damage to the blood vessel walls, heavy metal toxicities, other things. But the primary driver of heart disease is insulin resistance and poor metabolic health. And I know that if we were to focus on that, to the same degree that we focused on lowering cholesterol, we would have a major impact on the incidence of heart disease.
Well, the big